I remember rushing us upstairs is where our dorms were, and the feeling of what is this? It's the pressure, the stress that those instructors were putting us in. Tears did come out of my eyes, and the tears were quiet. I don't know if you have ever felt like that, where they just roll. And in that moment, I'm looking up. I remember looking up and thanking God for keeping me safe in that chaotic environment, because that was the first night that I wasn't going to be beaten, possibly not raped, by a very abusive husband. And that's the night that I made a promise that the Air Force would never be ashamed of selecting me as one of their own. Remember, I went into the Air Force broken in 1,000 pieces. So I am there in fear that they're going to figure out who I am, broken, and they're going to go, oh, how did you get in? Get out. So I am thanking God and making a promise to the Air Force that I'm going to do whatever it takes. I did not share my story. I was ashamed. And if they knew about it, they would not respect me. They would kick me out. It's my birthday. And I'm in the plane, cargo plane, and nobody knows where we're going because no one can tell us where we're going. And the plane starts taxiing out, and then it hits me. There's a chance that I will not come back.
Hi, I'm your host, Reena Suri, and welcome to Thriving Changes. Today, I'm back in conversation with Ericka Kelly as we explore the next chapter of her journey, one that takes us into her years of military leadership and the personal challenges she carried along the way. Leadership isn't just about performance or discipline. It's about what you hold internally and how you choose to move forward despite it. Let's dive in. Hi, Ericka. Welcome back. Yeah.
I am so happy to be here.
Same here. And what a coincidence. We are twinning. Thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate this is our second podcast, and I'm so enjoying your story. It is such an inspiring story. I was filled with awe the last time. I said, oh my goodness, there's a whole other level of evolution and what you've overcome in life. So we left off in the first episode. We spoke about your childhood journey from your life in Guatemala and then how you came to the United States and your journey till the time you got enlisted in the Air Force at the age of 22. And today we are going to take it forward. Let's dive in. So we left off when you'd enrolled into the military, and it took you another 4 years to end a very highly abusive marriage. And so tell me, what's next?
Yes. Again, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for having me back. Last time, I don't remember if I shared this with you or not. However, let me just share this again because I think that I promise you, I never thought I was going to serve 32 plus years in the military. However, that first night of me flying to Texas and getting picked up by a bus, not just I, but a group of us ladies getting picked up and being taken to the base, getting to the base, and just rushing us. I remember rushing us upstairs is where our dorms were, and the feeling of what is this? It's the pressure, the stress that those instructors were putting us in. And I remember standing in front of that metal bed, tiny little bed, and hearing the other ladies, some of them cry, and some of them literally say, what am I doing? I want out of here. And just a little bit of chaos, a lot of emotion from them. And those instructors just having fun with those crazy emotions. And I don't know if I share this with you, but I think that it's important for me to re-say that in that moment, tears did come out of my eyes. and the tears were quiet. I don't know if you have ever felt like that, where they just roll, right? And it's just this emotional release that you feel when those tears are coming down. And in that moment, I'm looking up. I remember looking up and thanking God for keeping me safe in that chaotic environment. Because that was really the first night, going back to the first episode, that was the first night that I wasn't going to be beaten, possibly not rape that night, by a very abusive husband. And that's the night that I made a promise that the Air Force would never be ashamed of selecting me as one of their own. Remember, I went into the Air Force broken in 1,000 pieces. So I am there in fear that they're going to figure out who I am, broken, and they're going to go, "Oh, how did you get in? Get out." So I am thanking God and making a promise to the Air Force that I'm going to do whatever it takes for them not to be ashamed of me. First night. Now, that it ended up being a 32 and a half year career, that's pretty awesome. I loved every minute of it. And my first job, my first career in the Air Force was to be a medic. At the time, wanted to go to school to be a nurse. You know how the decisions that we make in life, at the time I wanted to be a nurse, so being a medic in the military was a perfect fit. And you say, how was that beginning of the Air Force for you? And I'm going to say to you and to your audience, it was fantastic. Fantastic. Not because of the job. I love my job because of the people. The people were role models of leadership that taught me how to take care of someone like me, and how those individuals were able to give me the glue that I needed for all my pieces to come together and make me stronger. I am forever grateful for my first exposure. Yes, basic training. Yes, my school, but my first unit, my first base, which was Luke Air Force Base in Arizona, where that group of people fed me goodness, where I could, for the first time in my life, experience safety, experience that I belonged somewhere, and experienced that my presence mattered to the people around me.
So beautiful. So beautiful. You didn't share this last time, so I'm so grateful you did. And just it gives so much meaning to what you shared last time. And what a contrast. There are young ladies who are crying because of the toughness or the harshness of the pressure of what is
Mhm.
happening. And I guess that's what military is all about, because you have to survive in very tough environments. And if you are not tough at the core, you're not going to last. So it's needed, but some of us are not built that ways, and they have to build you, bring you to
Mhm.
that level. But you were already there because you'd seen so much. You'd seen so much in life,
Yeah, it's interesting, right, that you say that, because it all depends on our perspective. And you and I, as coaches, we talk about perspective all the time.
right?
But from my perspective, I felt safe.
Yeah.
From their perspective, they were in shock of what was going on, and they were in fear for their safety. And here I am standing there feeling very safe and secure. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all, yeah, it's all about perspective.
Yes.
So tell me, what's next?
Yep. So what's next is that in the military, sometimes depending on how much time you spend in the military, you participate in conflicts, in things that the military is made for. And I was part of the era in our military that there was a lot of deployments, a lot of action. So I am already trained as a medic. Every time I went to the base, It was training, training, and more training, more conditioning, more preparation. And you get to a point where you're like, how much more? And it's not that you're wishing to use your skills as a medic. However, what else can keep me going? This is what happened. Desert Storm happened. Desert Shield happened. So quite a while ago. I don't sometimes when I talk about Desert Storm and Desert Shield, I'm talking about it like it just happened yesterday. But no, it was a long time ago. It's even in the veteran community is if you're a veteran of Desert Storm, Desert Shield, like you're part of history, right? But nonetheless, my dear, Desert Storm and Desert Shield was my first deployment. So there I am, getting in the cargo plane, getting ready to go to war, and if I can share it here, be excited about it. Yes, I'm gonna go do my job. And I remember getting in the plane, and it just so happens that it's my birthday. And I'm in the plane, cargo plane. I don't know if you've ever seen it, red seats, and everybody's squeezed in, and nobody knows where we're going because no one can tell us where we're going. And the plane starts taxiing out, and then it hits me. I'm saying to myself, happy birthday. And then the minute I said happy birthday to me, it's almost like this cold feeling just came over me of we're going to war. And there's a chance, because you never know, that I will not come back. And when I thought that, going back to what I shared with you last time, that I, for many years, I believed I had zero value, zero worth, zero everything. So here I am, going to my first deployment in uniform. I'm a member of the Air Force. I'm an airman, and I'm looking at everybody else, and I'm thinking, and this is going to sound, I'm at a different place now, but please hear me because that's where I was at that time, where the thought of me dying in war crosses my mind. And the next thing that happens is that I smile. I smile because if I die in war, I know that my life was valuable, that I had worth, and that I served. And I look at it now, and would I make that same decision now? Possibly, but with a different level of awareness. During those days, I was putting myself together. So I thought, man, if I die, that death is going to give my life purpose. Is that crazy?
It's so, again, perspective, right?
Yeah.
It's how what your wiring was till then. And it doesn't matter because that honor, I think it's there's no greater service than serving for your country and doing that to die for your country. But I think it's more meaningful here because of what you went through, growing up thinking that you had no value and no purpose in
Yeah.
life. And now here you are serving. It's such a greater, bigger cause. It's beyond us.
Hmm.
And it's an amazing feeling to be there in that space, to know that you are serving a much bigger purpose than just yourself.
Yes, and I think that is a true statement. And I'm not saying only the military, there's a lot of other things that feed your soul in that way, where you know you are part than something much bigger than you,
Yeah.
and much bigger than the money you're making, much bigger than your personal safety, much bigger than your discomfort, much bigger than, and you can just keep making that list as long as you want. But as long as you being part of that team that's much bigger than yourself, that's where the courage and the strength and the purpose fits in.
I can see why it's so meaningful for you at that time and why it made you so happy and that smile, why it came.
Not everyone deployed. So just again, being selected to be an airman, being selected to deploy with my unit, going to the part of the world that I went to, all of that just again were little pieces of that puzzle for me to start growing in confidence and growing into a leadership role or different leadership roles as I decided to stay. My first contract was for 4 years. And then I thought, no, let's do 8, let's do 16, let's do 20, let's do until I got to until I got to the Pentagon. So my career was full of, at the beginning, as a medic, operational missions, a little bit of, so I was in and out of the United States, in and out of different countries, officially deployed a couple of times. And each trip, each deployment, each mission, each assignment to other military branches made me grow, made me create a different level of awareness where I could, and I'm not saying this to brag, I'm just saying it because I could feel it as it was happening, that I was becoming a better leader because I was becoming a better person.
Help me understand. Yes, there were role models that now you had in your life, healthier
Mhm.
versions and ideal versions, probably for you to model, and various people in your life. Modeling was one aspect. Did you use other resources, tools to personally work on you? Like, you did come from a very abusive background as a child,
Yes,
and modeling is one thing, but to rewire requires more personal reflection and, I guess, reframing those
correct.
thoughts, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So, how did that happen?
You're so right. The reframing piece, let me go back a little bit. Sometimes I shared how, because of everything that happened, and maybe I shared it with you last time, I was very angry. So my emotion of choice was anger just because I didn't understand how I could see someone else's life, again, from my perspective of how perfect their life was and how screwed up my life was. And I'm like, what's going on? And so that anger, and anger is a very powerful emotion. So anger would at times give me the fuel that I needed to make a decision. But after that anger fuel disseminated, then something else needed to keep me up. And at the beginning of my military career, I'll tell you this, I did not share my story. I was ashamed. And if they knew about it, they would not respect me. They would kick me out. I would make up all kinds of stories in my head, but I would not share my story. My story was I had a great childhood with two amazing parents and had all the toys that I needed and great schools growing up. And why the military? Oh, because the military would be an adventure, would help me with college. And I would just repeat what I heard other people say and keep that distance of not telling my story. To answer your question, that was a lot of energy, my friend. That was a lot of energy. And it was becoming harder and harder to keep the mask on. So it got to a point where that energy needed to start coming out. And it came out in little pieces. And then I realized, hey, as broken as our stories might be, someone needed to hear it because someone would say that happened to me too, or I know someone that went through that. It didn't matter. It opened conversations of not just work, not just professionalism, not just leadership, but it opened the doors to be human, to be human. So I realized that the right path for me to heal, to reframe, to be a better leader to the people that I was obligated, now responsible to take care of, was to be as authentic and empathetic as I could be, empathetic to myself and to them as well. So where did the reframing started taking place? My first mentor outside of the military, my first mentor was Wayne Dyer. Now, did I ever meet Dr. Dyer in person? I did not. But his books saved my life. His words, his recordings. And even today, I listen to Dr. Dyer and his messages before he died. So he was the first one where I would read his words. Literally, I would read his words and close the book and just get all these emotions that needed to come out and needed to showcase somehow through my physical body and realize that I was valuable. I am valuable.
Okay. And did you take any professional support as well outside of no?
No,
Just
not at the time. It was just through. So I sometimes I tell people for the longest time I just bounced from wall to wall, person to person. So am I blessed? I'm going to say yes, I am blessed because did I meet horrible people in my life? Yes. Yes. But did I meet amazing angels in my life? Yes. And I chose to hold on to those individuals that saw my potential in the military because sometimes I'm just doing my job. I'm trying to do the best I can, but my awareness is here, not here. And sometimes those individuals would say, "We see something in you, Erica." And I'm like, "Okay, I didn't see it." So what did I do? I believed them. I chose to believe them because it could have been really easy for me to go, "Oh, thanks," and push that away. But I believe them. I borrowed the faith that they had in me to do something else. And I then would take risk in putting in for a promotion, putting in for an assignment, doing something that most people were not willing to do because I had that amazing mentor, that amazing leader in front of me, a few steps in front of me, saying, I see you doing that, Erica. And once I made that one step forward to do it, my driving force, just like on that first day of basic training, my driving force was yes, Ericka Kelly, you got to do the best you can so you don't let them down until I was able. So I borrowed until I was able to create my own foundation, my own structure, my own confidence, and my own executive presence in whatever room I was in. But at the beginning of rebuilding a human that was broken in 1,000 pieces, I needed to first glue myself back together. I needed to find a little bit of traction of confidence. I met good people that were looking out for me. I met people that took amazing chances on giving me an opportunity. Some of those officers, for some of the assignments and some of the promotions that I was competing for, it would have been really easy for them to say, no, not her. But they took a chance. They took a chance to give me an opportunity. I was not asking for a favor, I was competing. And after that competition, it was up to them to select who they wanted in that position. And they took a chance to give me that chance.
I'm sure, Erica, that you must have also displayed that proactiveness, that because of your background, because of your experiences, because you wanted to prove something to yourself and to others, that zeal that you had in you, they probably saw that in you.
Mm.
And that's probably, it's not just out of goodness of heart or kindness that they would have just took a chance. I'm sure you must have also shown that zeal, that eagerness, that drive
Oh, sure.
that is
For my,
needed.
of course, for my packet to be in front of them, then I needed to be competitive.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm not taking away the hard work that I put into proving myself as a leader in the rank that I was holding. But something that I did do that I advised, and I still do, anyone that wants to listen to my advice, is that what got you here is not going to get you there. So if you're here, fantastic, celebrate it. However, start getting ready. So when the opportunity on the next level opens up, you have everything that you need in order to be competitive, instead of saying, oh, I'm missing this, therefore I can't compete. No, I promise you, I was very good at fair competition. If someone beat me, fantastic, good for them. Let me help you be successful. However, with the opportunities that I received in the military, I was competitive. And sometimes I exceeded what was being asked in that application. Fantastic. Awesome. However, that leader, I promise you, that leader could have still said no to me.
Yeah, that's always there.
Mhm.
That's always there. I think that's somewhere. I think there are so many other forces working, and he could, yes, he or she could have
Yes.
said no to you, but they took a chance on you, and that's always a matter of being grateful that it just happened to be you. So that I agree. So I know that you've served at several leadership positions within the military.
Mhm.
Any particular highlights that you want to share? Something that any one position or two positions that they're special to you, or they made you feel as if that you've really done something valuable?
Yeah. Again, 32 years has a lot of faces in it, and in ranks, different responsibilities, different assignments. So, in the medical side of the house, I ended up at the beginning, I was a ground medic, and then I became airback. So that's where I would fly operational missions quite a bit during my time. And I remember one time, and again, it's the what am I doing? What am I doing here? But nonetheless, we go in country. It's not a safe area. We go pick up patients. The plane at the time, it was a C-141, so it retired long time ago, but it was a long cargo plane. And when the cargo was pushed out, we would then reconfigure that plane, and that plane would become this huge ambulance that would hold up to 90 patients. Mm. And the litters, so stanchions, and then it will be litters from the ground all the way up to 5 litters on each stanchion on each side. And I remember on a flight, I remember turbulence, and I remember looking up, and I remember seeing a young Marine that was holding on to the litter for dear life, like, what's going on? And I had to climb up the litters to get to him because he was the top litter. So I'm holding on to the litter, and I see that he is holding on a photo of a young lady and a baby. And it's one of my first missions, so it's that's like my origin story. And I said, your wife and baby, and he can't even talk. He just does this. And then I'm like, you're the medic. You should have all the answers. Make him feel better. So I touched his stomach, and I felt dressing. And I thought, and for us at the time, for me at least, it just told me that he was going to go to Germany. That's where we were going to go. He was going to go to Germany for additional surgery. So I knew that internally he had something going on. And the plane kept moving. So I'm holding on, and I took my glove off and I put it on his forehead. I put my hand on his forehead, and I said, you're going to be fine, with my authority voice. You're going to be fine. And the minute that we made human contact, human touch, his body started shaking just a little bit. And those same tears that I was telling you about, His body just started shaking a little bit, and tears just started rolling, but his body relaxed. And at the time, I don't even remember how long the flight was, but it was long, long enough to be tired. And we were in Germany, we're deplaning. He is being taken off the plane. And so he's on one side of the plane, and I'm on the other side of the plane. And I remember him looking back, and I'm thinking, he's looking for me, right? So he finds me, and then he does this with his head. And I'm standing on the other side of the plane, and I go back to him. That's a Marine saying thank you. That's an airman saying you're welcome, my pleasure, never to be seen again in our lives. But he changed my life because the minute I touched him and his body reacted, my body reacted too. Where I learned as a young airman, that was my mission, that was my purpose, to take care of people. Now, in different phases of my career, even by the time I got to be a chief and then a command chief and then a matchcom command chief at the Pentagon, the equation did not change. I was still taking care of people. But yeah, I just got to I got to take care of him when he was my patient. I saw him deplaned, and I'm hoping that he's doing well in his life.
Such a powerful story.
Sometimes I look back and I am just so grateful because that early mission, early in my career, just filled me full of energy and purpose, where it didn't matter how bad sometimes it got.
Yeah.
I just knew that everything was going to be okay.
And he needed that. Probably he was scared for his life.
Well,
And
he's a Marine
yeah,
inside a plane
yes.
that's shaking.
And he knows he's injured. He knows he needs medical help. And he doesn't know if he's
Yeah.
going to survive.
Yeah.
And he's looking at his wife and his little baby
Yeah.
and just wondering if he'll ever see them again.
Yeah. And in those situations of me being airback, I think something key that happens, and I couldn't tell you what deployment, what operation, because in here everything's blurred. I have tons of stories, but when did that happen with who and all that, I don't know. But something that is a thread throughout the time that I did airback is that when we were in a war zone and there were people that would be waking up in the plane after surgery or after the ground medics did whatever they needed to do. And sometimes we would be the ones where they're waking up and they're looking at their body and they're realizing, why don't I have a hand anymore? Why am I missing an arm? Why? You just imagine. But were they worried about that? They weren't. They were worried, I don't know, countless of times that I am next to someone because I'm the one that possibly needs to say, hey, this is what happened to you. This is where you are. This is what we're doing. This is where we're taking you. And they would realize they're breathing, and they will realize I'm with them. And then they would go, what about John? What about Joe? What about, and they would start calling out the names of the people they were with when they got injured. So this is what I saw over and over. And it was that, again, the picture is bigger than ourselves, and the picture is not about ourselves.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
picture is about the team. It's about the person right here that's next to us, right? In the Air Force, we would say our wingman. Who is your wingman? And that's what they were doing. They were saying, where is? And most of the time, 100% of the time, I had no idea where those people were. They could have been on the plane. I just didn't know. But that was their first reaction. So in my career, that first big patient that I had, and then the multitude of missions, mission after mission, that thread was present. And then when I became a chief, command chief, and then a matchcom, then the amazing career shift of now being an advisor, of now being in rooms where Sometimes I was the only female, I was the only enlisted, I was the only person representing the reserve component of the Air Force was in the room. And then look at the military, not from the ground level of putting hands on people and doing your job, but now I was at the Pentagon thinking strategically on what the military was going to look like in the future.
What a blessing.
Kind of incredible, right?
It's such a blessing. And it's all about bringing all your experience and what you've gone through and how you can make it better. So, any moments that you thought were difficult or tough, and how did you navigate? As you said, there are ups and downs in everybody's
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
So,
I think that the most difficult places for me, one was that my presence wasn't always welcomed. I have to be truthful about that. So at times it felt like I needed to fight for my place in the room. And then at times it was very comfortable, and at times, so it was just this little roller
yeah.
coaster of people accepting you, not accepting you, respecting you, not respecting you, and all of those things. But the most difficult thing for me that hurt my heart was reading the suicide reports of military members. I was one of the principals that would get to see some of those suicide reports, and it broke me inside. The sadness that I felt on how did this individual who has served, and again, we all have our story and we all have everything that goes on, but what made that person feel so alone that they would make a decision like that? So the suicide reports are the ones that got to me the most. You can put the hard times in, no sleeping, the no days off, all that stuff just comes with the game, comes with doing your job. But feeling so helpless when it comes to what do you do after a suicide got to me a little bit.
Have those rates gone down over the years?
I don't have access
The reports now,
to
yeah.
those reports now. However, there is still a 22. That number can be 40. That number can be 4 or 3 or 2. But if you average it out, 22 service members commit suicide a day.
Wow, that's a big number.
It is a big number.
That's a
It is
big
a big
number.
number. So sometimes you will see military people do a 22 challenge and 22 push-ups for 22 days, just so you can be aware of, not forget that those suicides are taking place. As a matter of fact, next month I'm going to be part of a march, they call it, where we have to wear a backpack, and the backpack has to be at least 22 pounds, and we're walking, I think 12 miles. I think it's a half a marathon, I don't remember, but nonetheless I signed up for it, I'm doing it, but it's in remembrance for the 22 a day.
So while you were there till your time in military, I
Mm.
know that like PTSD, the whole study around post-traumatic stress syndrome started with the military, the people who returned from the war and they noticed those signs, and that was the origin. Are they doing something about it? If anybody who's in the war zone will experience things that are not pleasant when they come back, is there a support system that they can take advantage of?
There's a lot of things out there, and there's a lot of things that are not out there. So depending on what veteran you talk to, they're going to have a different
Different.
opinion of what you just asked. So I can speak for myself, and I'll be as transparent as I can. I remember coming back from a deployment from Iraq, and I remember people telling me, my close friends, they would say, "You need to go ask for help." And I'm like, I'm fine. I'm fine. Because if you say that there's something wrong with you, at least in my day, or at least in my perception, if you said that something was wrong with you, they would put you on the corner, and then either you wouldn't fly anymore, or you couldn't do your job anymore, or so. No, you had to suck it up and say that you were okay in order for you to stay in the team. Otherwise, they separate you from your team.
Did that happen? Yeah.
So yeah, so you got to say you're fine until, because people cope, I'm fine, and then they break, and then now they're not fine. Now they're broken. What happened to me, because I can only speak for me. Maybe some people will criticize what I have to say, but it's what I lived. So, and what I lived is that I came back. People were telling me that I needed to, something was going on with me. They could see me different. And I said, I'm fine until I wasn't. And then something happened where I blanked out. The story goes like this: I'm on the freeway going someplace, I'm driving, and I see a couple of Humvees just doing an exercise. I'm in the United States, I'm back. But I see a couple of Humvees driving next to me, and something happened to me. And the next time I blinked was maybe, and I'm on the freeway, an hour and a half after the off ramp that I needed to take. And when I blink, I don't know where I'm at. I don't know. I don't recognize the car. I don't recognize my body. It was just super, super weird. Where I pulled to the side, put the car in park. I don't know how long it took me to reorient myself to the United States, to my name, to my car. And that was the moment where I realized that I needed to ask for help. And I drove myself to the VA, and I don't remember. I really don't remember what I said at the VA. I just know that I was sitting there. They put me somewhere, and I said something. And the next thing I know is I have one person on this side and one person on this side, and they're like nicely picking me up and walking me. And as I'm walking with them, still very confused, I read mental health. And then I crossed that line of mental health. At that time I didn't care. But crossing that line of mental health was so scary before, because if I crossed that line of mental health, that meant I was broken, that meant I wasn't any good. It just reinforced all the stuff that happened to me in the past. But anyway, I crossed that line, and that's when I was diagnosed with complex PTSD. I was still in the Air Force. That's when I started my journey of mental clarity and physical health.
So did you do some counseling, therapy?
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yes,
all
yes.
that, everything that
Yeah, yeah.
goes with it. It's not just talk therapy. You have to deal so much.
Oh yeah,
As
yeah,
you said,
yeah.
health. It's a holistic approach to wellness.
No, yes, and even today, I have chosen not to take any chemicals, any prescribed medication. So, do I have PTSD? That's my diagnosis. Am I a coach? Yes.
Yeah.
Am I a business owner? Yes. Is life fantastic? Life is magnificent. Nonetheless, the VA takes care of me. And what I have chosen to do, and even before the recording started, I shared with you that I had an acupuncture appointment. So this is how I am dealing with my situation,
Yeah.
and that is acupuncture, chiropractic work, massage, walking, and meditation. And by choice, no medication.
It is a choice, and it also depends on how well you're doing and your circumstances. It's different for different individuals. So in my case, I also have deal with complex PTSD, and I refused to take medication for a long time. But then there came a stage where I think I felt necessary to take it, because
Mhm.
only to accelerate my path, like to stay on top of my game,
That's right.
just for that support. Because I felt that I can speed it up. I was relapsing very often. I needed that relapsing to stop.
Yeah. Now, when I crossed that line of being escorted to mental health, yes, I definitely needed medication. I needed to reset my brain chemistry and all that stuff. Absolutely. Absolutely. But yes, it's an individual. I know that some of my brothers and sisters take about 40 pills a day.
Yeah,
And that's hard. It's hard on the body, hard on your mind, because
it is.
sometimes you're not feeling what you need to feel to process. Yeah.
Yeah. So you did take some medication
Oh,
for a
yeah.
period of time and then weaned off. That's
Yes.
what I did. For a period of time, I took it. For about 3 years, I was on it. It helped me because by then I had done talk therapy, I'd done EMDR, I'd done
Mhm.
so many other processes that helped me be at a place where I could manage without medication. And then we gradually weaned off, and I'm doing fine. And I now, by choice, I'm not on medication, but I needed it for that short period of
Me
time.
too.
Uh,
Absolutely, me too. There's no way that I could have unpacked everything that I didn't even know I had inside and not be centered enough with the aid of medication at the time.
exactly. Because I think the one drawback that therapy has is, and I'm not blaming anybody, it's just how it works. It's just the process of how it works takes time. It takes time to unwind. You have to unlearn so many things and then relearn all the new things that you want to put into place.
Yes, absolutely. And that was again in right now when I help people that are transitioning from the military to a civilian world, or just transition from a career to another career, or transition period. One of the things that I tell people is that we need to be intentional about pursuing and taking action on what we want, because I can tell you that my progress in getting better would have slowed down if I would have just allowed them, whoever them are, to take care of me. Instead, I was intentional to say, I need to look for self growth, self development, study the brain, study emotions. And all that was just attraction so I could get accredited and certified as a coach. But the process started by being able to give myself enough value to take care of me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I love that fact that you mentioned that regardless of whoever, the process is doing its work and the people who are helping you do it, they're doing their work.
Mm-hmm.
But it's equally important for us to take ownership and do our own research, and especially now when it's all so freely available. There's so much info, and it actually helped me learn. I'm a neuroplasticity, neuroscience junkie, just learning on how I can support my own self growth. And then in return, it's only when I am healthy and I'm functioning at a good level can I serve others. If I'm being dysfunctional and I'm exhibiting behaviors that are unhealthy,
Mm-hmm.
I cannot be a good role model, nor can I be in a place to support anybody else. So I need to take that ownership. And even if you're not in that space of being a coach or a therapist, that you are giving that same kind of help to somebody,
Mm-hmm.
I think being on top of the game helps me just live life fully and
Yes.
be present in whatever I do.
Yes, I have a friend of mine, prior Marine, or I guess if you're a Marine, you're always a Marine. His name is Aaron Quinones, and he's in Washington State, and he still suffers from PTSD. But he wrote a book, Healing Through Service, and I have been part of his. Not often, but when I can, I've been part of what something that he does every year for Memorial Day. A group of veterans go to Mexico and they find like one of the poorest areas in that city, whatever city that is, and we build a home for a family in 3 days. So it's not an American home, but it's something that a child can have shelter. A mom doesn't have to cry because they're out in the rain at night. And so it's very rewarding. And the whole 3 days is about learning about PTSD, learning about ourselves and growth and all kinds of goodness. Yeah, a shout out to my friend Erin Quinones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful work and so rewarding.
Yes.
Now you've retired and from the military life, and give us a little bit what that transition was like for you.
Yeah, yeah. So the transition for me happened 2, maybe 3 years before my retirement, where I was looking at the reality that the uniform is going to come off. The title, the position, the responsibility, that all that was going to be passed on to somebody else. And again, just like with my mental health, I decided to be very intentional. And I started looking at different things, not really to become a business owner. I thought I was going to retire and retire. However, I started looking at what can I do to prepare myself for not wearing the uniform anymore. And that's how I found Maxwell Enterprises with Dr. John C. Maxwell. And I invested, I took leave, I invested my own money, went to the conference, got certified, but I went to the conference only for self growth, only for self development. And as I am in the conference and I'm looking at the people that are attending the conference, I'm like, oh my gosh, I found my tribe. I found my people. And it was just such a beautiful bridge. It was just such a beautiful gift to move from uniform to that community. And that community said, everything that you're learning here, do you want to use it for yourself? You can. Do you want to open your own business? You can. You want to take it to a business and help them? You can. And I thought, then why not start a completely different chapter and start my business? So I retired from the Air Force in 2019. And 2 days after I retired, I went to City Hall and got a business license and have been working as a personality and human behavior consultant, as an executive coach, and now I do a lot of emotional intelligence assessments and purpose finding assessments.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was it hard to adjust after the military life to into the civilian life?
The hardest thing for me was that in the military, at least what I was doing when I left the military, was I was traveling a lot, maybe a half a day off every 2 months or so, 16, 20 hour days. So it was on all the time. And then I retire and I don't calibrate myself good enough. And so the only thing my brain and my body knew to do was to recreate that calendar, to recreate that chaos, that stress. Even though I'm retired, I'm still working 24 hours. I'm still traveling a lot. I'm still, and then my sons are like, Mom, I thought you retired. And I'm like, yes, but I have a business to run now. And then my brother, special needs brother, he's like, I thought you were going to stay home and help me a little bit. And I'm like, I would, Michael, but I have a business to run now. And it did take me a little while to say, you are recreating the same stress. So stop it. And now I have had my business since 2019, but I love my clients. I still do a lot of things for the military. As a matter of fact, on purpose, wrote a book, Take Charge of Your Military Transition, so I can help individuals not go through a little bit of the transition that I went through.
Yeah. So you support people who are transitioning out and
Yes, yes. I have been faculty in different schools. to help transitioning military members once a month. I have a military conversation. So anybody that wants to come in, they can come in and either say, hey, this is what's going on with me in the military right now, or I'm transitioning out. Help me out.
Wonderful. And you serve outside of the military, like other people in other industries as well?
Yeah, no, my coaching clients are not military. Like I would say 90% of my business is not military. However, I'm going to be an airman for life. So anytime the military calls, anytime the military wants me to do a keynote, anytime that they want me to do a lunch and learn, I'm there to help, and I have that complimentary class every month.
Absolutely. Yeah. That will always be there, I guess. You can't, that is,
That's
you
it.
live that,
I
right?
mean, look at my background. I have all my, so it's
So,
funny. Let me move off camera, but if you can see
yeah,
that
right. All your badges and your,
in that frame, my dear friend, isn't it weird? That's the summary of 32 and a half years.
yes, wonderful.
Isn't that crazy though?
Yeah.
You see it
It's
is like,
amazing. It's amazing. What a story. What a story.
oh,
How do you look back at it all, Erica?
I love it. I love it. And sometimes the biggest thing about going back to transition a little bit is that we do lose a little piece of our identity, because remember, I went into the military broken. They glued me back together. So they made me, they molded me. And then I loved what I did. And now I don't do that anymore. So a little piece of identity. So when we transition out, if we are not ready to see again, once again, see bigger than ourselves, at what opportunities and options we have in front of us, we can get stuck in that identity where you're always looking back. I used to be a chief. I used to be this. I used to do that. And that will hold you back, where you will not be able to see the amazing potential, where the military is this incredible part of your life, but it's not your whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did speak about what you are doing, but is there anything that you've planned? What's next for you? Something that you are thinking of doing next?
What I'm doing next, again, because I keep studying every day, I study something else. I continue to travel and find amazing mentors that can make me a better person so I can be a better coach. So, the new thing that I am doing, like now I'm focused on doing this, and that is that I am going to start recording some of the teachings that I do, and put those recordings on my website. So I am going to start creating content. And I know that it sounds weird because I have had a business for a while, but my business has been one-on-one or in-person events. And so my new project is to create content.
Nice. I look forward to it and look forward to hearing some of it. So, what would you say to somebody who has absolutely no idea what to do in life and what their purpose is, and they're feeling lost
Yeah.
and they have no idea what life means to them?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
because you were in that state.
Oh, yeah. And so I'm smiling as you're speaking, because I'm like, oh, I've been there. I've been there.
So, what would you say to somebody who's in that spot right now?
Yeah. Yeah. So, as difficult as it might be, is I would say close your eyes. Take a couple of deep breaths. Lower your shoulders. Keep your eyes closed. And allow your imagination to take over. And as you have your eyes closed, for you to imagine what you would love out of life, and pay attention to the images that come up? Is it a nice house? Is it a beach? What is it that you would love? And start putting that picture in your mind. And once that picture is very clear of what you desire, then the next step is to take action. And it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be a sprint. You can just move an inch, just write a word down, but take one action step on making what you would love a reality. Your present conditions, your present situation are exactly that, present right now, but they don't dictate your future.
It's taking me back to your grandma, that this is not you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And you know what? She said it, I don't know, since I can remember she said it. And not until I'm looking for mental health help and becoming a coach and doing this and doing that
Yeah.
does my gentle grandma. And I'm thinking, you, grandma, you kept me together all these years because she put that seed in my subconscious.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter what was happening to me, how life was kicking me in the teeth. My subconscious, my grandma's words were, this is temporary, this is temporary, this is temporary. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
gosh.
you can imagine and you can get that. I can so relate. And I guess I'm living it because I did that, imagined a
Mhm.
life. And in fact, I got more than what I imagined. My imagination couldn't bring me, it didn't have that capacity to vision so much more that life has given me. So I did get what I imagined, but I got so much more.
Yes. And again, it's all perception, it's all attitude because there's so many things that we can complain about, but there's so many things that we can celebrate. And so many
Absolutely.
things that we can go, I'm so glad that this is happening to me.
Yeah.
So somebody else doesn't have to go through it.
Thank you so much, Erica. This has been so wonderful and so precious. I can't tell you. There's just such a wonderful, powerful, inspiring story.
Yeah.
And I think it's an inspiration to anybody who's listening to us because of everything that we are capable of doing, provided we want to take that step and we get intentional about it. Everything is possible. What a story. Thank you
Yes,
so
thank you.
much.
Thank you. It was fantastic. And chatting with you, having someone that we're in the same field, the same path. And for you to also share with me where I don't really have to explain myself because you get it, right? It's not that I have to justify what
Yeah,
I went through, what I'm feeling, what decisions that I made. You're like, I got it. And I'm like, thank you for saying that. I'm grateful for you having me in this amazing podcast.
my pleasure.
And I'm here for your audience and I'm here for you as well.
Thank you. Thank you. It means a lot.